First, I want to say this is not a paid advertisement or paid ad or paid anything. I don't do those, so just throwing that out there because a lot of people may think that. Fear Effect, if you haven't heard, well, first off, there's 2 games in the series currently. There's the first Fear Effect, which came out for the PlayStation 1, and then the Fear Effect Retro Helix, which this is the one that I have not played. Dude, you haven't played this game. So those 2 games came out way back when. I remember the first one, and I remember really, really enjoying it. And I got pretty far, I didn't beat it, but I want to go back and play through these games. Anyways, long story short, Fear Effect is a franchise that was previously published by Eidos, and they were going to come out with a 3rd game called Fear Effect Inferno, and it never came out. And the franchise basically got shoveled under whatever. Square Enix bought out Eidos, and so we haven't had a Fear Effect game in a very, very long time. So recently, Square Enix decided, oh, we're going to open up the vault of our IPs. Developers are now allowed to basically say, hey, we've got an idea for a project, and then Square Enix goes, oh, okay, you can use our IP if, So they choose these developers, or the developers, confront them and say, hey, we've got an idea, and then, they roll with it. Well, Fear Effect is one of the franchise that was around for a while and hadn't had any games out. So I guess that was one that somebody was like, oh, let's make a game. So there's a company called Sushi, I believe their name is. They are mostly a mobile games developer, or at least that's what they've started, from what I can tell on the internet about Sushi. And they, I guess, optioned this new Fear Effect game called Fear Effect Sedna. And it's supposedly taking place after the 3rd game that never came out, story-wise. So story is going to be apparently a very big thing for this Fear Effect game coming out. Now, I got really excited when I heard about Fear Effect Sedna, but then my excitement kind of, dropped quite a bit when I saw the gameplay. But then I started looking at it a little bit more, and I said, you know what? 2 things. One, we're probably never going to see another Fear Effect game if this doesn't sell. Now, that's not really a reason to sponsor something or to kickstart something, because you never know what's coming down the road. You never know what the future holds. But I think a lot of people really, really wanted to see a proper sequel like Fear Effect Inferno come out, and it never did. And from what I've heard, the game was mostly complete, but it got shelved, never came out, unfortunately. Will that game ever finish? Who knows? They may go back and finish it. I doubt it, though. So, second thing, which is really important, is they've got the main creator on board with this new game. So it's in good hands. It's not like it's a game that isn't going to have, love and care, taken for it. So with this information in mind, I gave it a second chance as I saw more and more footage, and I was very skeptical because at first they were like, oh, we're gonna, not involve the romance or the sexuality of the female characters, who were like pretty much the first lesbian couple of video games. And it was huge, it was groundbreaking for the, LGBT community. So when I posted on Kid Shuriken's video, which is a buddy of mine, I'll post it down in the link so you can see, Sushi actually responded to my comment. And I basically voiced all the concerns that I had, and I also said, which this is the big thing for me, is there's no PS4 release up front, it's a stretch goal. So it'd be a different story if it was a stretch goal that was somewhat obtainable, but the way that the Kickstarter was going, that they weren't going to come out with it on PS4 or Xbox One. So they had to do something. I'm happy to report that recently, as of I think yesterday, Sushi posted an update saying that even if the game gets if it gets funded, which they're really close to funding it. I think they're about 70% all the way through. If it gets funded, they will create an Xbox One and PS4 option, meaning it won't be a stretch goal. Basically, when they hit their mark, that is it. That's fantastic news. It is. The reason why that's big news is because for one, they listen. They show that they care and that they want to reach the mass amount of people. So I do plan on donating. I'm probably going to get the game and the costume pack, most likely, because why not? There's no physical release, though I would like to see Limited Run, I believe that's their name, Limited Run Games, produce or publish a physical copy of the game. Because honestly, you know me, I'd rather buy a physical copy to hold in my hands and have. So that's about it. So they did go back and say, as far as the sexuality and the romance of the two female leads, Hannah and Rain, that they do plan on keeping that. And also the story is going to be worked on by the original creator of the franchise, the director. So I am pretty excited based on that information. I think it's a good turnaround for the Kickstarter, and even though it's a mobile developer that doesn't have that much console experience, I feel like it's still going to be under watchful eye by not only Square Enix but also by fans. So I think that they're going to put out a good game. The game is different. It's more like an action, like kind of isometric top-down kind of game, instead of a kind of like Resident Evil style pre-rendered backgrounds, that sort of thing. So I think with a proper amount of cinematics and action and combination of the two, I think it'll be worthwhile. I don't kickstart a lot of things, like as far as donating. I did Shovel Knight, I did Adventures of Pip, I just did the regular digital copy. I did Bloodstained for the $100 option, and then I've done the most expensive one was Shantae, which I donated I think $200 for, which I'm still waiting on the new Shantae and all my goodies, because it was worth it. Like, that to me is, if you want to sell a game, that's to me it's worth it, is like physical stuff like t-shirts and posters and all that sort of thing. So I agree with the developers that they don't want to put that sexual nature like in your face as far as the marketing goes, because as far as Fear Effect, the first Fear Effect really didn't have a lot of that. There was some, cheeky kind of sexuality, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the marketing for Fear Effect Retro Helix was. It was a bit too in your face. Just really honing in on the fact that they were lesbians. And listen, that's all fine and well, but don't use it as a marketing ploy. I think that's kind of cheap. So I agree with them in that sense, but I didn't want to see it go away completely. I think it's an important part of the story, and I think that, that legacy is important to hold up. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm interested to hear what your experience is with these first two games. Have you played the first two Fear Effects? And if you have, are you excited about the Kickstarter? If you're not, tell us why in the comments below. If you are, tell us why in the comments below. Tell us in the comments below. Wow, now I'm starting to sound like that GameSec video.